Welcome to Fluxedo Junction. I'm Scott Kugler. Each episode we bring you the best music of all genres from throughout the world, and today we'll be speaking with artist and photographer Mike McCartney. Using the name Mike McGear to distinguish himself from his famous brother Paul McCartney of The Beatles, Mike was a member of comedy, poetry, musical groups the Scaffold and Grimms, both groups being key in the development of the British satire movement of the 1960s. Throughout the 60s and through to the 1980s, McCartney enjoyed a musical career that saw him collaborating with the likes of Roger McGuff, Zoot Money, Brian Auger, Jerry Conway, Denny Lane, Jimmy McCulloch, Denny Sewell, Brian Jones, and Paul and Linda McCartney. Throughout his entire musical career, Mike has been a photographer, and his latest book, Mike McCartney's Early Liverpool, available through Genesis Publications, is a celebration of the city and the art and music scene of his youth. We'll be speaking about all of these things, but let's start things off with a track from his 1974 album McGear, a song called Leave It, here on Fluxedo Junction. The book is Mike McCartney's Early Liverpool, and I want to start this conversation with a quote from the legendary heavy metal musician Lemmy from Motorhead, and a quote he had about Liverpool. Talking about the Beatles and the Stones and how he preferred the Beatles as a more ground-level, street-level group. And he said, they were from Liverpool, which is like Hamburg or Norfolk, Virginia, a hard seafaring town, all these dockers and sailors around all the time who would beat the piss out of you if you so much as winked at them. Ringo's from the Dingle, which is like the fucking Bronx. The Rolling Stones were mummy's boys. They were all college students from the outskirts of London. And I wanted to see how that quote hit you with regards to your book and your feelings and identity of Liverpool.
Yeah, it's nice. I like those. I like those quotes. And also, who was it? Carl Gustav Jung, not quite heavy metal. Carl Gustav Jung once said about Liverpool, Liverpool is the pool of life. But I mean, it's not. I don't know the place in America that he was referring to. But yeah, it's actually Richie Ringo was in the Dingle. That was heavier. That was even more working class for those. In other words, stop coughing, Michael. In other words, tougher district, as he said, a bit like the Bronx. And so, yeah, it was harder surviving there. But my mum wanted us to better ourselves. And so we came from even heavier in the middle of Liverpool in a big tenement block called Sir Thomas White Gardens. Very pretty little name for a tough tenement block, isn't it? Sir Thomas White Gardens. And that was heavy. Then we went back to speak on the outskirts of Liverpool. All the time, because Mum was a midwife and bringing all the children into the world.
It occurs to me actually, in spite of the coming as an American to this conversation, and having been to the UK but having never been to Liverpool, we have, I think, here. I know.
Hold on. Can we just tell your viewers that extraordinary statement that you, Scott Kugler, have never been to Liverpool? I've just fainted.
I know. It's horrible. It's inexcusable. We have this very strange view of it here in the States, and until I get over there myself, I won't be able to confirm it. But obviously, the first time most of us hear about Liverpool over here, it's either from your kid or it's from the football club. And that's about it. But there are so many for a town that's got a reputation, a city that's got a reputation as being a tough port city, it's so rich in the arts. I mean, not just the obvious, the music, whether it's Elvis Costello or Frankie Goes to Hollywood or all of the Mercy Beat groups, or you and all the groups that you worked with, or even going back, to the Liverpool Poets or Royston Ellis. There's always been this strain of art and creativity that goes with the toughness. Can you?
That's why, Scott, I did Mike McCartney's early Liverpool. Initially, the boss of Genesis books. By the way, have you ever seen a Genesis book?
No, I haven't.
You have to start, like me, we both have to start saving up now, because they're not cheap.
Yeah.
These are limited edition, fine art, beautiful works of art, and they take a lot of time to construct. There's only 2,000 of them, and in every one, they do these extraordinary things. How about this? In a book, right? Stuart Sutcliffe once sent me I asked him, he was in Hamburg, he'd come over to live with Astrid in Hamburg, Astrid Kircher.
Yeah.
And I asked Lacey, how did you do murals? But I wanted to get into art college in Liverpool. And, that's another one of them. Ask me after this, how John got into art college, okay. But now this one here is, I had written to Stu in Hamburg and said, how do you do murals? And he wrote back this long letter on a blue airmail envelope and addressed to Michael, M-I-K-E-L, McCartney with a K, for a laugh, And then went into this extraordinary, it's about 9 pages, of James Joycean surreal word imagery. Somnambulance is creeping over me, Michael, etc. As to your questions on murals, what is a mural, blah, blah, blah. A big, long letter. I told Genesis Books about this, and they said, can you scan your envelope and a couple of pages of your letter? The tours, and I said, certainly, did it. Now, when you buy, there's 2 books, the collector's book and the posh, both posh, the deluxe version. In both of those books, when you open about halfway through, you come to these murals that Stu and John as well had done on the jacaranda walls. That was a coffee bar in Liverpool. And they had students to so that they could rehearse there. Alan Williams, the owner, said, well, you're not getting for nothing. Paint the walls to give art school. Nothing we do a deal, you can come and rehearse, etc. And so Genesis got Stuart's letter, the envelope, and in this book, actually, and that's why, 2000, can you imagine somebody in Milan, Italy it was, where they constructed all these works for art. As you open a certain page, there are the murals and the jacaranda, where I took a photograph of later. But there on the page of the book is an envelope, right? And you can actually turn it backwards and forwards. There's an envelope stuck in the book. What's even better, you open the envelope and you take out the start and the end of Stu's letter to me. It's folded in the letter. It's folded in and shoved in the envelope. Now, that is called dedication.
It sure is. It's gorgeous. I'm on the Genesis Publications website now, just looking over the different aspects of the whole thing. It really is. I mean, not just the packaging and the way the whole book is put together, but your photos. You have such a wonderful eye for picking the right angle and grabbing your subjects at the right moment. I mean, I've been looking at your photos for years, so this isn't really a surprise to me. But I was always more familiar with you as a writer and a musician. Who were your influences in terms of your photography?
I started off with my interest in photography, cinema, etc. When the black and white movie came on our BBC, it was the only channel, came on our television at first in Europe by somebody called Salvador Dali, never heard of him, and Louis Goodwell, never heard of him, etc. And Rich Ananda knew all these weird foreign names. And suddenly, onto the television came this extraordinary, mind-blowing experience. Suddenly, there's a little lad from Liverpool going nowhere. None of us were going anywhere then, Scott. You got to remember what Mike McCartney's early Liverpool book is about. It's to show that side of Liverpool, the arty and the poetic side of it. But it was one of those things when we're just sitting there poor, we're all Liverpool working class, all of us, all our group members of Scaffold, members of Beatles, etc. None of us had any money, and we were just going to stay that way. And then the first thing was our hinted, by the way, with this group. I don't know whether you've heard of them in America, but he went into a group called The Beatles, and they did very well over here. So, but then, that's what this book is about, my early Liverpool. And it's those sort of things that open your mind. If I'm doing it, you know the National Trust over there?
Yeah.
Do you have it in America?
We don't, but yeah, I know of yours.
You've heard of it.
Yes.
It's a big institution here. They purchase and buy these usually palaces, manor houses, castles, etc. And they open them to the public. And I'm there all day tomorrow because tomorrow this year is 20 years since the National Trust bought 24th Inn Road, which is our little home, very important to us.
Yes.
That's where we formed, my brother formed his group, I formed my group. But most importantly, that's the one where our mum died. And so this is very important of our being. And so, but as I say, we weren't going anywhere. And then you see these things that open, whack your mind open. And then, I can never remember his name. You see books. In fact, that's what I did. How I got into photography is I saw these enormous big sequels over the back garden in Portsmouth, and went and got the family box camera, snapped them. When they came back to the chemist, there were tiny little dots on the prints, and I thought, and I captured these enormous albatross sequels, and there's these little dots, and I thought, oh God, there's more to photography than meets the eye. So I got on the 86 book, went to Charlton Library, got all the books out, and that is when I started my love of photography. Started to take, first of all, I'll tell you the truth, it was on, first of all, the family box camera, which is totally limiting, the Kodak Brownie box camera.
Yeah, I had one of those.
You got that?
I used to have one, yeah.
Yeah, well, our family did. That's of course, totally limited. Can't use it at night. And because we didn't have any money, we could only do it for weddings, funerals, bar mitzvahs, all the important stuff. And so that's how I got all the books out on photography and photographers. There's that wonderful French photographer. I really love his stuff. Oh God. You know any French photographers?
No, not personally.
Well, this one is next time I speak to you. I can never remember his name, but he's brilliant. Oh, God, I really had it. I got all these books out and started to look at the and then sort of take my own. And that's what you do. You learn. And it was a love, and still is a love to this day, photography. And that's what this book is. All it is, capturing a moment in time. When we had no chance, when all of us wanted to have a photograph taken, as my Scaffold and Grimms, our kid and his group, everyone, even the passing superstars, Gene Vincent, Jerry Lee Lewis, and Little Richard, etc. They also wanted their photographs taken. And so I was just lucky enough to, because of my love of photography, to be there at the right place at the right time. And so that's what this book is. It's a reflection. It's a moment frozen in time of a very important part. It was a bit before we were somebody. It's when we were nobody.
Just before the storm broke, yeah. Now,
and that's always, to me, is the most interesting bit of early Elvis, early Stone. I like all those things.
I know what you mean, and actually when you mentioned before the right place at the right time, it makes me think of your earlier work, your recorded work with Scaffold and Onward, and just thinking of all the other things that were happening around that time, were bubbling under around that time, not just like, the Establishment Club in London, the very early stirrings of Monty Python with that last 1948 show, and the Bonzos starting to come up, and all of these things that you were a part of, and obviously could not have been engineered that way. It just happened. Like there was this spark, almost a generational spark of satire that pops up around that time.
Yes, it was something that we've been suppressed for so long. Being working class people in this hierarchical system, it still exists. To tell you the truth, it still exists in Britain, and that is the accent, our accent. If you didn't have in the old days, it's called the class system, and it's the most repugnant, most disgusting.
Yeah.
We are judged on how you sound, how you, like me, my voice is, I say, class and back, and etc., bus and class, because that's where I come from. And you are judged still, it still exists. It was doing very well when Mersey Beat and Arcade and all this came out, and Conquering the World and Conquering America, etc. And all very well, and they suddenly were in vogue, and that nasty accent, that nasty class system went away. And then we had this Prime Minister called Margaret Thatcher.
Yeah.
Brought him right back and said, it's very good, to speak proper, etc., and nice people in the back. And this, our politicians, I don't know whether you look at ours, we were looking at Trump and his, at the time with him. And we had, I presume you may be looking at our Trump, our Boris Johnson.
Yeah.
And these people over here are, majority are still those upper class people with, and look at the insanity that's going on here. That man was running our country. It's like, you were trusting with the doctor, what do you think?
It's almost too it's almost too easy to be reductive and say that it's as simple as he's your version of Trump, and because the class system is something that escapes us here in the States. I always think back to right around the time.
What did you say about in the States then?
Oh yeah, it's the idea of the class system escapes us. It's not something that.
Oh, you were very lucky then.
Well,
Wow.
I always think, but we miss so much in comedy and music as a result of that when we're listening to stuff coming over from the UK. I always remember this interview. It must have been right after the Beatles were getting their MBEs, and all four of them were being interviewed, and some writer had complained, that now this award's going to pop stars, and I forget who the writer was, but they asked him about it, and John puts on this voice, this very proper English uppercut. Well, I don't know what he means at all, quite frankly. It's just a very clever and sardonic way. He just very subtly adopts that accent. And I think other Americans watching that interview would have totally missed that. They wouldn't have gotten...
Okay, I get you.
You know what I mean? It's that kind of subtlety. And I think that happens sometimes with the comedy also. If you're an American, you either love British comedy or you hate it. There's no middle ground. There's no middle ground. Yeah. I mean, I know more people that love it than hate it, but like my girlfriend, who shares all my taste in music and everything else, just cannot stand British comedy. She can't stand Monty Python. She can't stand really Eddie Izzard or any of it. And it's...
Hey, listen, Scott, it's very simple. Just tell her to listen to Scaffold.
I will.
She'll immediately turn round.
She'll turn...
Oh, Scott, why have you taken so long to get these extraordinary figures?
It's my fault, isn't it? It is my fault.
Absolutely. Magic. Thank you, Scott.
Much.
Mr. McCartney, I'm so sorry to say that we're out of time. I could talk to you all day, and you're kind of a hero of mine. I've been following your career for a very long time, and
thank you.
I truly appreciate you taking the time to speak with us. And the new book is wonderful. We'll make sure everybody knows where to go to. We'll include links on the website.
Oh, bless you. I'm going to leave you with one thought to you, Scott, and your Fluxedo Junction listeners. You have had on your program people from Jefferson Airplane. You've had Steve Jason on, John Paul Jones, Les Zeps, Jethro Tull, Grand Funk Railroad, all those people, etc. Now, but did you know we have Scaffold had a big number one in England called Lily the Pink?
Yes, of course.
But did you know the bass player on Lily the Pink, the actual record in the charts, whenever you listen to it, the big number one, as well as having Graham Nash on the Jennifer Eccles verse live, as well as having Tim Rice singing na 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 na, as well as having Ringo's bass drum, thud thud throughout the whole record. Also on bass, because I know you've seen all the groups that you have had on your program. The bass player is Jack Bruce from Cream.
I did not know that, actually. That's amazing.
See what I mean, Scott? That's what I'm here for.
I've learned something, yes.
And entertain you.
You've educated me. You've set me on the right path. Thank you, sir.
I hope so, Scott. I sincerely hope so.
Sir, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
That's a pleasure, Scott. And love to your lady and tell her to listen to Scaffold.
I will.
Yeah.